Hey guys, what's going on? Got some more folded towel gameplay. Sorry for the long gap in uploads again. I was gonna film this last week, but there was like some weird thing going on outside. These like people were like doing some sort of church service in their backyard, and they had like loudspeakers and everything, and they were singing songs. Yeah, I figured you didn't want to have to hear that while I'm trying to talk about this keyboard. So anyways, gonna be doing a full review on the Keychron Q1. I believe this is like probably the second like initial round. There was the first like pre-order round, which I didn't get, but then they did another one which was not a pre-order. It was just like buy it and then it'll, I guess maybe that's that's a pre-order, but yeah, I had to wait like a little, not that long, and then this came. I forgot to buy any like plates, which we'll talk about later. So this is just a stock aluminum plate. I don't even think they do aluminum plates somewhere. I think they do steel, but this is aluminum. It's, you know, gasket mounted. I took all the foam out and I tape modded it, and I did like a force brake thing, a shitty force brake mod, which we'll talk about later. Yeah, this has glorious pandas, and then these are MT3 drop keycaps from Drop. So I guess let's get into the stuff I like about the keyboard. It's good, it's well built, it's pretty heavy. It's not the heaviest keyboard I have, but it's pretty heavy, you know. It doesn't have any weights or anything. I'm not a huge fan. I don't like the idea of brass weights because that seems kind of pointless. I would prefer the material just that the keyboard's made of just be heavy, rather than you just adding weights to it. That's seems like cheating, you know. Yeah, but this is good. It's got good weight. It's pretty, you know, pretty solid. Feels good in the hand. I do carry this a lot. I have to walk to my car about like 2 or 3 blocks from my apartment, so I do carry it in hand. I don't like putting it in my backpack because I put it in my backpack once and the enter key stabilizer got all fucked up. So I just carry it. I'm the guy who walks around in public holding his mechanical keyboard in his hand. But you know, this is cool. It feels good. Don't really mind doing that. It does kind of feel weird when I walk past people sometimes, but you know, whatever. It's only a short 2-minute walk. This is like I said, this is a gasket mounted keyboard. That's the main reason I wanted to get this. I had the I had the NK65 first, you know, which was my first like good hot swap. Technically, I think, yeah, my first keyboard, mechanical keyboard, was a Womir K66, which I think I still have. I'm not sure where it is, but a couple of the keys don't work on it anymore, so I don't use it. But then I got an NK65, which was cool, and then this came out. I wanted to get both an aluminum keyboard and a gasket mounted keyboard, so that's what this is. So it was perfect. The GMMK Pro was out too, but I don't know, something about that keyboard just never really looked right to me. The reviews were like, oh, it's good because it's better because it's made out of aluminum, but like the actual implementation is like, could be better, you know. So I was kind of thought, maybe I'll wait, I'll hold off. So I ended up never getting that, and then this came out, so it was like sick. So the gasket mount was kind of the main thing, though. I always hear people talking about that on YouTube, and I was like, what the hell even is that? So wanted to try it out, and you know, I can confirm it is a thing. It does work. You do have to take the inner foams out, though. You can probably see that. The foams don't give it enough room to actually flex at all, so you gotta take those out, which I did, and I mean, I honestly forget what it sounded like with the foam in it, but I think it sounds fine without. Because with the foam in, it just kind of basically feels like any old regular keyboard. No flex at all, bro. So I mean, like I showed you, there is like a visible amount of flex. Let's see how about on this side. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that. But I mean, you're not actually going to be doing that. That's not how you use a keyboard. You don't go like this. So I mean, you don't feel that amount of flex every time you press the key, but it's like just the normal key presses. There is just that little bit of cushion. Essentially, it's you're not. It's kind of like the difference between if this keyboard were sitting on the desk versus on this towel. This towel is essentially a big old gasket, and you know, there's flex here, but you don't necessarily feel it just by doing that. You don't directly feel it, but it is there, and it's noticeable. It's very, very slightly noticeable when you're using it. I was expecting to be blown away when I first typed on it, and I was not. And I still haven't gotten over that disappointment. No. When you're typing, it literally just is a little tiny bit softer. It's like you're not, you know, versus. So you don't necessarily feel it while you're typing on the Q1, but if you go back to another keyboard, such as the NK65, which I don't have with me here, or anything else, but when you go back to that, you do feel it, and you know, it's like, whoa, what the hell? But you know, you get used to that eventually, and those are just kind of two different typing feels. You could argue one of them is more premium because one of them generally costs more, but you know, whatever. So you know, soft and harsh kind of sound like silly words, but they pretty much are the best describing words to describe that. Harsh doesn't mean it's painful or anything, but you do feel it a little more, you know. It's really hard to describe these feelings. They need to be felt more than anything, which is why I bought this. And if you've never felt gasket mounting before, don't really like worry about it too much. You know, it's not a harsh bottom out is not something you'll notice until you try a soft bottom out. So unless you just really wanted to try the soft bottom out, then it's like not really a big deal whether your keyboard is harsh or soft. But you know, so that was why I was kind of excited when this came out. It was probably the best sub 200 aluminum gasket mounted hot swap board at the time. So yeah, looks cool. I got it. This is the, like I said, stock aluminum plate. There was the GMMK Pro, but I didn't like that because of like the side LED windows just kind of just don't look right to me. I don't really use LEDs, but you know, this does have it too. It's not on the side, but that's fine. I mean, when the side LEDs are turned on, they look cool, but I don't really want that. And when they're turned off, it looks really cheap. GMMK Pro, from what I heard, had poor gasket implementation and overly muted sound. There was polycarbonate plate warping issues, which I don't know if those were ever fixed or addressed. That just kind of seemed like, it doesn't seem like the best like product to buy. You know, maybe it's a decent keyboard, but just like as like a consumer product, it's like a poor choice to buy one. So that's why I didn't buy that. But then I was kind of like hoping to like try the polycarbonate plate, but then I hear they all had like warping issues, like they're all bowed, like to the point where the switches on the edges would be like higher up. Yeah, I don't know if that was ever fixed, but you know, whatever. But so this Q1s do have the option for a polycarbonate plate, but I forgot to buy that when I bought this, of course, and that brings me to the one thing that's kind of doesn't suck, but it's often overlooked about this keyboard, is that shipping is a flat $30 to the US from China, which is, that's fine. I'm pretty sure the GMK Pro has free shipping to the US, but I don't want to say that definitively, but yeah, it essentially puts the cost of a Q1 at $149 plus 30, so that's, $179 or $180 versus the GMK Pro is $170. So it's technically $10 cheaper, or $10 more expensive than the GMK Pro, but I mean, whatever. It's not that much. So you'd probably say, oh, just get another plate, but then I would have to pay another $30 shipping, which puts the cost of a plate at like kind of high just for a plate, just for what is honestly probably going to be a marginal difference. And even if I decided to get both plates, I think they have polycarbonate and brass. I don't know if they have FR4, but I'm pretty sure they have both polycarbonate and brass. The brass is like in itself is the most expensive of all of them. So if I get the polycarbonate brass plus shipping, that's like, I don't know, that's like over $100 just on 2 keyboard plates. That just seems like a poor decision. So at that point, I would just rather buy a new keyboard, So yeah, we got the aluminum plate here. It's fine though. I don't have any problem with aluminum. It's the standard. It's the middle ground, so it's fine. So okay, moving on to sound with the glorious pandas and these MT3 caps. It's good. Yeah, great. So let's see. Yeah, the mods, there's no foam. This is a force brake, and there's tape mod. I relubed, I think, this stab and this stab. This is a Durox screw-in. The rest are stock. And then I had to redo this one because it got messed up when I put it in my backpack. The board has an overall sharp / high pitch signature, especially the spacebar. And that's fine, that's good. And that works well with the glorious pandas, which are a pretty high, kind of clacky switch. So that together with, but you put the MT3, which gives it just a slightly deeper sound, keycap sound. I think that kind of rounds it off, gives it a nice kind of thick sound. It's loud, but it's not too loud, in this configuration. It doesn't annoy me or anything. I have been using this at work for about a week. It is definitely a little loud, but that's nothing crazy. It might still annoy non-keyboard people, but it's definitely more tolerable than Zeal Clickies with this same setup, which was my first video, which you guys have probably seen. So the gaskets actually do provide a noticeable level of dampening. I think people argue that's actually the purpose of gasket mounting, not for squishy feel, but I mean, whatever. It's rather than this all just being screwed directly together, the foam gaskets, which there's a gasket here on both sides here. I think maybe one here, 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 and here, I want to say. And something like that, and there's foam, squishy pieces of foam on either side of the plate assembly, which then are compressed by the case, and the case has little pockets milled into them so that it doesn't overly compress the gaskets. And a very small amount of the sound that this keyboard generates will be absorbed by those foam gaskets, but it's probably not something that is really quantifiable in any way. There's no tray mount version of this board that exists in the aluminum, so you can't really compare. So that's kind of a moot point. But I would say the level of dampening that you get for the sound is probably about the level of dampening that you get in the typing feel as well with the gaskets. That's to say that there's a small but noticeable amount, which you notice more after you go back to a normal keyboard. For example, Q1 with no foam and Glorious Panda is fine volume-wise, but an NK65 with no silicone and Glorious Panda is way too fucking loud, and that'll probably be the next video I do. But that is fun though as well, but it is quite loud. So the but this whole setup has kind of like a really solid thwack to it, you know, like that. But it's not too high pitched, you know. The keycaps kind of round off the sound, so it's not overly high. But it's definitely not like thoggy or anything. But that's fine. Everything has to be thoggy. And if you're gonna make a clacky board, you know, you might as well like make that sound good, which I think this does. I guess to make it even more clacky, you just need to use cherry keycaps, and or the brass plate, and or both, which would raise the pitch of the sound only. The volume probably would be the same. If not, maybe ever so slightly louder, because, quieter, because I feel like these keycaps have more room for the sound to move around, so it generates just a tiny bit more sound than a much shorter, you know, keycap. And then this also does have the tape mod, and I think the tape mod really does help these switches kind of sound a little crispier. Tape mod kind of makes things sound crispy. That's the best way to describe it. And it's best exemplified on clacky switches. But, you know, it does kind of give an interesting sound to everything. But, you know, it is also just like tape. So, so you got to think, like, do I really want to put tape in my $400 custom? And this, I think tape mod is good for around stuff at this price level. But I've had the same layer of tape on there for, well, ever since I put it on. And every time I take the keyboard apart, you just peel it off and you just put it off to the side, face up, do your work, and then you just stick it back on. It's pretty good, and it's just plain like red masking tape. I may do a video at one point on tape mod versus no tape mod for this keyboard. But for now, this video is already 17 minutes long, so I'll probably skip that, if you don't mind. Okay, so this does have the force break mod, and that is very important. It's so important that Keychron does it. Like, they do it themselves now. So this is kind of like pointless to talk about, but I mean, this could apply to other aluminum keyboards. If your metal keyboard has ping, it's probably because the top and bottom case are making direct contact, which kind of just turns the whole thing into a like a cowbell type thing, you know. But as you can see, this doesn't. There's no ping. At least not really to a noticeable degree. But stock, this thing does have quite a lot of ping. So what I decided to do, I heard you're supposed to use like some sort of silicone strips that you could get some places, or just like electrical tape, but I didn't have any of that. I had Gorilla Tape. So I used I cut out little tiny squares of Gorilla Tape, and I put them like here, like here, 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 you know. I think I just put one on one side. And, you know, Gorilla Tape is it's not super thin. It has like a certain thickness to it. So I thought, oh, maybe that'll allow it to, you know, do whatever you need to do with that to get the necessary force breaking. But what ended up happening was I just screwed the screws in. It makes it so you can't screw the screws in quite as much. And I did them, you know, just to the point where they had tension, but not like a ton of tension. And they started falling out. Like, not falling out, but they would get loose. And I didn't want them to fall out because, as I said, I do carry this around outside. So if the screw's gonna fall out, it's probably gonna be when I'm carrying it outside, when I'm like waving it, or like you know, moving it with my hand as I walk, and it's just gonna go flying. and that would suck. And these are actually, I think these are custom screws. You know, Keychron probably makes these screws themselves, and they're very nice screws. Look at that. Look how nice that screw is. Come on. Yeah, so I then decided to crank the hell down out of the screws, you know, like, and that, I mean, they were really in there, and they were hard to unscrew because there was so much tension. I don't know if tension is the right word, but when that happened, when I did that, what happened was the pin came back because I screwed the case so tightly together that it just was making contact again, and the pin came back. So that defeats the purpose. So I backed them out, and then I tightened them again. And then this took a couple of tries, I think, and I went basically as hard as I could, and then, like, you know, hard enough that it felt like it wasn't going to fall out, and then I would type on it and then see if there was ping, and there usually was, and then I had to, like, back it out just a tiny bit and then type on it again, and then just a tiny bit more, and then that took a while, and it sucked. But so I guess the conclusion the conclusion is that you shouldn't use Gorilla Tape, and you should be prepared to kind of spend a couple of minutes finding the right tension, the right tightness of your screws. But, you know, at least it worked because I have not lost any screws yet. So that's always good. Okay, so now onto the typing feel, which I already kind of talked about, but we'll talk about typing feel of Glorious Pandas in this context. The Pandas are less tactile than Zeal Clickies, but they do have a higher spring weight than the Clickies I had, which are 40 gram. What this means is that you don't have to press as hard initially, but the bottom out is ever so slightly harder than the bottom out on a Zeal Clicky. I don't know what the spring weight is on these, but I want to say it's like 65 or maybe 68 grams or something like that. Definitely more than 40 grams, you know, so this all makes sense. This is all like, duh, but, so, you know, what this translates to is nice amount of tactility, but not so much that my fingers are like all tingly after using them for an hour. I can type faster on these than with Zeal Clickies, but not the fastest. I think I'm still fastest on linears. You know, the tactile bump not being overly too high, and also the dampened bottom out kind of makes it so you never get tired of typing on these, and you know, you're not gonna have any like finger pains or anything like that. There's a nice like initial round bump. There's no like pre-travel. It's all just right from the top, and you have to kind of attack it hard. I mean, relative to a normal switch like an MX Brown or something. Yeah, there's kind of a certain like initial press that you have to do, but then the higher weight, the higher bottom out weight, kind of allows you to just ease into the bottom out. So it's kind of like a I don't know how to describe what I'm doing right now, but it's like a pop and then like a slow fall versus the Zeal Clickies, which is like you crash through a pane of glass and then do a skydive without a parachute into the ground, versus you know, just one of these. You know, so yeah, it's good. I like these. These are good switches. I know it's ironic to be using Glorious switches in this keyboard after I just, you know, spent 2 minutes talking shit on the GMMK Pro, but you know, these are pretty good switches. The clack they have is not overly high pitched, you know, so I think these are good. I think that the other switches they make are kind of pointless. The linears, the Lynx linears, Glorious, those are just basically just JWKs. Like, just buy. You can get direct linears on Amazon, you know, for like 60 cents. Just get those. But you know, these are good. I don't technically have real Holy Pandas. But I do have some Halo True switches, which I bought before I even knew about Holy Pandas. And I've heard that the housings for these are true panda housings for the Glorious. So a Halo stem in one of these switches would be a true Holy Panda. And I have made a couple of those, and they don't really feel any different. They feel, if anything, they're just slightly less tactile. So, you know, whatever. And they sound the same because it's the same housing. So that seems kind of, that I didn't bother making any of those. I do want to try boba switches, boba U4T. So that'll probably be one of the next tactile switch videos I make. I have to get them. I have to buy them though. I've not currently owned them. Yeah, you know, but these are, I guess these are probably my favorite tactile switches at the moment. They're the best ones that I have. The other tactile switches that I own are Ergo Clears. Yeah, Ergo Clears and Halo Trues. Ergo Clears are good, but they're not. I don't think that they're not good in this keyboard. I may talk about that at some point, but there is a certain configuration on the NK65 that I really like with the Ergo Clears. But I don't know. Ergo Clears are a little bit unremarkable. They're a little bit too close to MX Browns, so that's why I tend to not use them. Okay, so how about this? The cable. This is the cable, and I don't think they make give these cables anymore. Coiled aviator cable that came with the keyboard. Here, no. I tried to turn the LEDs on, but I literally just unplugged it. Okay. So anyways, this coil, I mean, it's okay. The other coil cable I have is the NK65 cable, which I think I do have that. I have the cable, but not the keyboard. Yeah. This is like, people talk shit on this cable that it's a telephone cable, but I mean, that's a much tighter and much more tight and even coil than this. I don't know if you can see, okay. And, you know, this one does have the aviator. Yeah, I mean, look at that. What the The aviator is cool, but I mean, does it actually serve a purpose? I don't know. You know? But, okay, so from a coolness factor, this is a cool cable. I wish the coil was tighter. This does look cool, you know, but people just... I don't know. Everyone at work was like, "What the fuck is this cable?" I'm like, I don't know. It came with the keyboard. But okay, that's the initial reaction. I mean, this is the aviator connector. You know, I mean, it is a true whatever. Oh, sorry. I accidentally hit the tripod. This is like, you know, this is what a real aviator looks like, right? I mean, and then you screw it in, but why though? Like, what's the point of this? And like, it's like, I tried to buy more aviator connectors, and that's not even really easy to do either. They're really expensive. I was hoping to just get a little thing like that, but nope. Fuck you, you know? So, okay. But from like an actual usability, okay, when I actually use this cable, I don't know if this is like, if every cable is like this, but look at this, like, look at how short this is. So what, and it comes out on top this way. That's important. Okay, so when you plug it in, that means that, oh, okay. When you plug it in, that means that it either needs to be going off to the side like this, which I honestly think looks kind of weird. Well, oh God, was that out of focus the whole time? I think it kind of looks kind of weird like that, if I'm being honest. So okay, you might say do it the other way, but due to the shortness of the cable, it like sits super weird. Like, you can't really see this, but it's floating here, and that's what's causing this weird bend to form in the coil, because the one side of it is like a ½ inch off the table for like no reason other than poor design, I guess. I don't know. And that's what's caused this like weird S bend to form in the coil. So something tells me that all of their coil cables were like this, because they no longer, to my knowledge, make these coil cables. And I mean, I don't know if Keychron was making these themselves or if they had them outsourced. But I think the newer Q models come with an aviator cable, but not a coiled one, which is probably a good compromise. You know, you could go to you could check out Cable Mod, the sponsor of this video. No, this video is not sponsored by Cable Mod. I'm just kidding. Yeah, the day I get sponsorships will be like, whoo. But okay, so this is a decent cable. This cable is like probably maybe a 7 out of 6. I like probably like a 6.5 out of 10. Realistically, and it totally doesn't really work very well with the way my desk is shaped. Okay, you know, okay, now speaking of cable, this is not exclusive to this cable. Sometimes this keyboard does not work when I boot the computer up, when I wake the computer up. Sometimes I have to unplug it and plug it back in. Sometimes I have to do that multiple times, and I really don't like that. It's stuff like that that kind of keeps this keyboard from feeling like a really premium product and makes it still feel like a kind of like a budget Chinese electronic product, which is technically what it is. You know, no hate, but you do have to modify it. You do have to put a bunch of tape. It has to be modified with various types of tape, and then you have to. Yeah, and sometimes it doesn't work when you try to turn it on. Hey, but I mean, it's got some. It's got the pretty lights. Oh yeah, side note on the lights. I have to on NK65. It has like. You can, okay, I do like that you can just turn it on and off with one button like this. NK65, you have to like do like brightness up, like literally like 32 times, brightness down 32 times. And I counted it as 32. I think that's because it's a factor of a power of 2 in the computer science world, if I'm not mistaken. But NK65, you could change all the colors and stuff on VIA with the UI on VIA. This does not support, it supports VIA for key mapping, but not VIA for LED mapping. So if you want to, you know, make it look like this, you have to, there's like certain, it's like these, this is up and down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I think all 5 of these are settings. I don't remember what they do. I want to say probably brightness, probably speed, probably color hue. There is color saturation. Oh, and then actual effect. The effect one is probably this one, or maybe this one. And then these two are color hue and color saturation. Doing that without any kind of user interface is kind of weird. So I just found I turned the saturation down by a couple notches, and I think that goes kind of well with these keycaps, but I don't really like it. And also, this doesn't pick up on the camera due to the angle, but the angle that you actually sit at when you're using this keyboard is more like this. And I don't know if you noticed that, but the lights shine directly into your fucking eyes like that. It's so annoying. Especially at night, it's like, whoo. So, and you know, if you're touch typing, you shouldn't be looking at your keys anyways, bro. So, I don't care for LEDs for that reason. South-facing LEDs. that's the reason that north-facing LEDs are a thing in all those pre-built keyboards. It's so that way the LEDs don't shine directly into your eyes. But you know, enthusiasts, they need to be able to use their cherry profile keycaps. So they're willing to literally blind themselves for cherry keycaps, which is kind of funny, you know. But you know, overall, this is a good keyboard. I use it pretty much every day, literally at work. This is like my daily. Sometimes I mix it up with the NK65, but this is like usually my go-to. You know, with various switches, but the old as I progress this hobby, the less I feel like taking out the switch, taking off every keycap, and then taking out every switch, putting in new switches, and then putting in new keycaps or the same keycap. That whole process takes like 20 minutes, and it's just so, you know. But I like this configuration. It's good. Got a nice solid sound, good tactility, good feel. A little bit of dampening from the gaskets, a little bit of sound dampening, and, you know, just typing dampening. Yeah, so it's good. Very much enjoy it. Would recommend. Not necessarily this specific keyboard. Maybe you like the Q2 better, Q3. I think there's a Q4, and maybe Q5. This is the Q1. 75%, obviously. I really only use these keys at work, which is why I have an escape key here and here. You know, but hey, you can do that on VIA. And I bind all three of these keys to backspace, so that way if I really need to backspace, I can do you know, and yeah, so good keyboard. I don't think I'm going to be giving every keyboard a number score. I don't remember what I gave. I don't know what the last number score I gave was. So, and there's no way in hell I'm watching 30 minutes of video to find out. I'm telling you that. But yeah, no, this is a good keyboard. Would recommend. I don't know if there's anything else that's like on the market right now that beats it. Honestly, I haven't been keeping up with keyboard stuff as much. But I know that, you know, there's more Keychron Q models. There's a lot of group buy keyboards that come out that can technically beat this, but like this is an in-stock product that you can just go to keychron.com and buy literally like anytime, I'm pretty sure, you know, and it's always in stock, and you have to wait just normal shipping time, which I think is true, not end game keyboards, but that's the end game for like a consumer market, is when you can just get it instantly. Is when it matures to the point of instant gratification. And this is, you know, one of the best instant gratification purchases you can make, as far as getting a full aluminum CNC milled, gasket mounted, 75% hot swappable keyboard. All right, so let me do a typing test, and I'll stop wasting your time. I'll do the lights on for posterity. All right. I don't know if I've been doing this, but this is mouse. That's what mouse clicks sound like. And this is the keyboard. Okay, this should be all you need to see. It's a 112 final with a 140 raw. So I made so much mistakes that I lost 30. So many mistakes that I lost 30 words per minute, and that is because I'm typing on a towel around a tripod. But all right, we'll do one more. Let's do a long one. How about that? That was a 50 word. Let's do a 100 word. I gotta get hydrated for this one. All right, mouse click. Fuck. Redo. Okay, last redo. Again, 110 with a 137 raw. Okay, wonderful. All right, I should probably stop the video. That's the Keychron Q1. If you want a TLDR, it's a good keyboard. Yeah, okay. Anyways, thanks for